What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Swanky Disc Golf. We're doing another tier list for you guys today. We are ranking the best new fairway drivers. That is going to be 2021 or newer. We took a break from doing tier lists for a little while, actually. We're jumping back into it because so many new discs have come out. We did mid-ranges, we're doing fairway drivers. So if you like these kind of videos, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know if you want to see distance drivers next, because there are a ton of new discs on the list. We have Will with us for his first ever tier list, so we're going to bounce between us and get to ranking these. I'm going to let Reed go first, and we're going to jump right in.
The Jackalope. This is an easy one to start with. I first threw this disc after it was one of our tournament players pack discs, like last year or 2 years ago. I can't remember. It was last year, right? And it's incredible. It's an 8-speed that's understable, and it's been in my bag ever since. And it's S2.
Wow.
It is so good. It flies so nicely. It's the kind of understable fairway that doesn't want to fully turn over on you unless you put it on anhyzer. If you throw it flat, it will go for a long way turning. But it always it doesn't hook up, but it gently straightens, which is a beautiful flight. So that's all I'm gonna say. S tier for the Jackalope.
Wow, starting off in the S tier early.
Had to do it. You gave it to me.
I did.
Slammed it home.
And then I'm going to get the ThoughtSpace Votum. This is a fantastic disc. Overstable, 7-speed if I'm not mistaken, but like more overstable than a 7502 T-Bird kind of thing. I think it's 03 or something along those lines. It's ThoughtSpace Athletics marketing, so their stamp is incredible. It always looks good. And then it's MVP plastic, so it flies incredible and is super durable. I also just really like the vibes of ThoughtSpace. They have a really cool company, really cool people over there, and the disc is great, so there's nothing bad to say about it, so it is A tier.
Nothing bad to say about the Votum.
And then we're going to actually give Will the Grackle because he's been waiting for this one. So, Will.
So, while we're on mint discs, we're going to talk about the Jackalope's more handsome older brother, slightly more overstable brother, and that is the Grackle. And I mean, for me, it's my favorite fairway in my bag right now.
Wow.
It is
Wow.
the most, I mean, like, it's right there, the FD with the most straight flying disc, in my opinion. It's
very straight.
Slightly more overstable than the FD, I'd say, but you can absolutely crush it, and it'll just maybe flip up a hair, go, and finish reliably. It is in, like, headwinds and shots where you just need to, like, make sure you're hitting your line. It is my go-to reliable disc, so I think it's Swanky tier for sure.
S tier, baby.
Wow. You guys are crazy.
Wow.
We love mint discs here.
We
love mint discs.
I love mint discs. The lobster, buttery.
Lobster's gas.
Buttery.
We'll put a little butter on that lobster. Reed, we're going back to Reed for the feedback,
The
which
feedback.
is...
I haven't thrown the feedback.
I've thrown the feedback, so
All right, then
we'll
swap me. I'll do the
these.
Taz.
He has the Wild Discs Tasmanian Devil.
Okay, I have thrown the
numbers on this are
Devil.
9404.
Yeah, super overstable disc. It's a prototype. It's a Firebird prototype. So we know exactly what it does. Is this a
But it's an
fourth
MVP
disc
plastic.
of our list?
Yeah.
It is MVP plastic.
Yeah, I think
We have
so.
yet to rank a non-MVP plastic
That's
disc.
true.
But the plastic is really nice. And these came out, it depends on what you want from a Firebird prototype. There's literally no way I can put it in anything higher than B just because its flight is in everyone's bag already. So it's not like something you have to go out and
But
grab.
it's MVP plastic.
I know, but that's only doing so much for it. The art is beautiful on the Tasmanian Devil and on all of Wild
That's
Discs.
true. Wild
Classics.
Discs is-
The stamp is really pretty. The plastic is this like swirl. I don't know. I call it swirly apex because that's what Mint calls it. It's that same plastic. It's really pretty. And these came out not super flat. Like they had a little bit of mild dome to them, which I've started to really appreciate in my 9 speeds. I used to want it to be board flat for my forehands, but now I want a little bit of gentle dome for my backhands. So I really like this. It's not in my bag, but it is on my shelf in case I lose all my Firebirds. I like it enough to put it in B tier.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like it a lot. It's also any purchase there, they donate a portion to wildlife conservation, which is cool. Now we have the Prodigy Feedback 9.5 -1.3. I believe the one that I threw was a little bit more understable than that. I feel like it was -1.2. And this is actually a really good disc. I really like that they're working with their players to do the thing, you know, the give the player a line of discs thing. You got the Isaac Robinson Archive, which was way overdue. Isaac Robinson Archive, Kevin Jones Feedback. What I don't like is they did outsource it to Yukun Discs, and Yukun Discs does good stuff. They do well. Much better than they have in the past. The archive feels good. I haven't had any flashing on them. They come out consistent. The plastic feels pretty durable, but I still don't like that they have to outsource when their specific plastic, I think, is better if they can keep the quality control in check. I like, especially their like what they're doing with fractal plastic and what they're doing with the Spectrum plastic is really good, but they outsourced both of these, the archive and the feedback, and I don't love that. I wish it was in better plastic at the end of the day. And I'm going to put it in B tier because it's still a good disc, and like I said, Yukun has majorly stepped up their game, but it's just not great. It's not great. We're going to jump over now to the FD, actually. Going to switch these up because Will has thrown the FD.
Yeah, I bag an FD. Great. I was comparing it to the Grackle, the last disc I talked about, and again, super reliable hyzer flip to flat and go disc. I think that across the disc golf community, they would put it S tier. I think that personally, it finds a place in everyone's bag. I'm gonna say A tier because any beginner to expert, advanced, you can find a place for it. It's straight, it's glidey, but there are other discs that I could see replacing it.
Yeah, I think the OG FD was one of the most loved fairway drivers of all time. And the new FD is also great. I think it's just a little more overstable. And people really liked the classic Eagle had that one really, really understable like base plastic FD. It was awesome.
And everyone loves a good Night Strike as well, those old ones. But RIP the good old days, that's still have
These
a
new
Night Strike
FDs
in my
are
bag.
super, super good. They're just a different, I think they're less super beginner friendly, more amateur friendly, and beginners are your biggest market, so it's not quite as popular as it once was. But
and everyone loved the Night Strike 2s because they were overstable, and this flies like
I know
that
this
run
flies
of
like
FD,
that.
so it's like, why are we complaining? Anyway.
The Streamline Ascend is next, which is a 6-speed, I believe.
I have thrown this disc, but it's
we're throwing it in with the
understable, right?
fairways.
Is it like -3 or something?
I think so.
I can't remember. Yeah, so it is very understable. And I've only thrown this a handful of times. It's this -3 and then 0.5 in overstability, which is just like 0.5. MVP's always doing the half numbers. But this disc came out with like a lot of other understable molds from MVP. They pushed out a lot of really flippy stuff in the last couple of years. The Paradox, I mean, you just think about their mids too, like the Paradox, the Hex, the Uplink, the Detour, like all of these new mids that they're pushing out are on the understable side of things. The Ascend was all right. To me, it's like, it's not what the Jackalope is for understability in that if you throw it hard and flat, it burns over. It's probably a better beginner disc. I'm going to put it, I mean, like, no hate. I'm going to put it in C tier just because, like, I genuinely think it's not quite as good as the rest of the stuff on this list. But if you're a beginner looking for your first fairway driver, I think it'd be good for you. I just don't think it's going to last in the bag very long. It might be like a utility disc for you long term. Like I have that really flippy Essence in the bag for like crazy hyzer flip stuff, but I think it's too understable to be like super usable.
I think that's a really hot take, and we'll see what you guys think.
Maybe. The C tier was looking so lonely.
I will say this. These are all discs that we have thrown before. If you go to the PGA website, so many new discs have come out. There's no way we can tier list rank all of the fairway drivers from 2021 to now. These are our favorites, or the ones we've thrown a lot that are pretty popular. Let us know what we missed in the comments down below, what missed the list. I really like the Streamline Ascend. It does feel a little weird. It's kind of weird. It's not your normal disc. The Soda, speaking of weird, is next from Clash Disc. This came out in 2022, I think.
So good.
Super understable, super good. Their steady plastic is incredible. Their quality control is incredible. It's going in S tier.
Do it.
We just got the new Tone plastic soda, which I'm super excited to throw. It's usually the Tone plastic has a little more glide. It's interesting. They PDGA approved it as Tone soda, so it's like a different mold.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Love the soda, and we're moving on to the Passion.
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 An absolute crusher.
Never lose your passion.
Never lose your passion.
8-speed.
Yeah, absolute crusher will go super far for you. This is a go-to disc for like several people that I play with. That being said, I personally don't love the hand feel of it. That's just me. There's so many people who can like shot shape this disc exactly how they want it. So with that being said, maybe the back. Let's put it at the back of A tier here.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you were.
He's
gonna
a
do
real
it
nice
way
guy
dirtier.
today.
I just know so many people who love this disc.
I love this disc.
A lot of people, I feel like I get hated if I put it any
I
lower.
like it.
Yeah.
It's not going to be in my bag, but I've seen people do great work with it. So
I feel like it's the buzz of Fairway drivers.
Yes.
It goes super straight, a little bit overstable at the very end.
And overrated.
And overrated. There you go.
It probably is overrated. My favorite part about our tier list is that it's like this hodgepodge of what Will ranked,
Yeah.
but I would have ranked it differently in Luke. It's
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do tier
So,
lists a little different.
we
And
love
I didn't label them, but S stands for Swanky. S is Swanky tier, and D stands for Dog Toy.
That's right.
I didn't write it in there.
C stands for could throw it over water.
Yeah, that's right. Seriously, could throw it over water as in like, I might put it in my bag for one specific purpose, to maybe show off to somebody because it's nice, or maybe to throw for a roller, maybe like it's really overstable, I'd throw it over water. So
All
next
right,
is the
my turn
Cicada,
for the Cicada.
which is taking the world by storm.
Mhm.
So be careful what you say.
Does everyone love the Cicada?
Everyone loves the Cicada. Have you thrown the Cicada?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
It's pretty
It's just-
flippy, right? But I
it's
don't know
just
the
flippy.
numbers.
It's
on
really
it.
controllable.
Yeah.
7-speed, but it almost feels like a 6-speed.
Yeah, I trashed on the Ascend, which I'm like, should I go right back on my word and put the Cicada
I was gonna
in tier?
It's probably a slightly more overstable than the
Yeah,
Ascend.
it's definitely more usable, and Discraft has been pretty slow with their releases lately. But they've come out with the Drive and the Kratos, and then this. I think of late that's about it. I can't think of any. Oh, the Venom. The Venom was a while ago.
Yeah, Venom's been a minute.
I'm not gonna do you guys a huge favor. I'm gonna put it in B tier. I do think it is a much better disc than the Ascend, much more usable. It's just not a super special disc for me. And you're probably looking at this like, Reed, what is the difference between the Cicada and the Jackalope? 1 speed, that's the difference, and it goes a lot further. And I just frankly don't have the experience with the Cicada. I've thrown it a few times, but I enjoy it, and I think it's better than Yakun plastic feedbacks. So that's where I'm going to put it right there in the B tier.
The Cicada, I think I would be curious to ask Discraft, but I have to imagine it's one of their best-selling stock run discs of the past few years. People love the Cicada, and I like it. It's very controllable, but he put it in B tier. That's fine.
It's where it goes.
This is how the cookie crumbles, and it's about to crumble real hard because
it's about to fall off the
I have
rails.
the Elevation Binks, and I need to say this before I put this in the tier that I'm going to put it in. Elevation Discs is a really cool company. I think it's run by a couple, and they are awesome. I've seen, we follow their social media, and they do a really cool thing, and they do a really good job with that thing. And that thing I hate so much. I like what their company does, and there are people who really, really, really like rubber blend discs. If you just watched our video with Overthrow, unfortunately, I'm not one of those people. We reviewed the Binks. It has these flight numbers, I think it's an 8-speed or a 7-speed, but it's really touchy, and depending on how you throw it and how it comes out of your hand, it does not react like the flight numbers say that it should. And I know somebody's going to be like, dude, that's your own fault, you don't know how to throw it. And you're right, and for that reason, I'm putting it in dog toy.
I knew I was going to do that. And we should have swapped. You should have ranked the Cicada, and I should rank the Binks, because the Binks is better than a dog toy. But that's where it's going to fall.
It also literally works great as a dog toy because it's rubber, and it won't hurt your dog's teeth like these other discs would. It's weird, man. I say it all the time.
It's just a mental battle. He doesn't like how it
don't like
flops
that
in his
it's
hand.
like flopping over in your hand.
It's all up
When
there.
you rip, you cannot throw it. Somebody, like, when you throw it on a forehand, it also just, the snap makes, there's a delay. It's like a
You're really
rubber
not
band.
supposed to throw a forehand, I'll give you that. You shouldn't do that.
It's super
Throw it
weird.
back in.
I don't like rubber blend discs. For those of you who do, Elevation is a really cool company. But for me personally, rubber blend discs will never have a useful purpose. And Will has the Athena.
If Tallulah was ranking this, that disc would be Swanky tier for sure.
Swanky
Because
tier
it's a
for
dog
Tallulah.
toy.
No question.
Yeah. And Will has the Athena.
Yeah, so the Athena
7502.
7502, yeah. So I've thrown this disc. I do love discs that you can just absolutely crush. I love the 7-speed fairway drivers. I feel like, for me, this disc kind of falls strangely in between your straight flying fairways and your Firebird type discs. So I haven't really found a purpose for like the Athena, the Cookie, those kind of things in my bag. But, so I mean, I guess B tier? I mean, do you guys have any hot takes about... I know they're super popular right now.
I low-key agree. Oh, I agree. I think there are other 7502s that do something more unique, like they have a more unique hand feel. They have a more unique rim, like the Cookie from Clash has a rounded rim. The Instinct from Discmania and that Vapor Plastic feels incredible.
I think
the
Athena is a disc that Discraft handed to Paul Macbeth, and he threw it, and he said 7502. Because for me, it flies like 7504, or at least the Protos did. Like the Protos came out very overstable, and for me, I was like that. I have discs that fill that 7502 slot, and I have a Firebird, and I do think there's a few reasons you can have a Sexton Firebird or something like in between there, but the Athena just didn't make a ton of sense for my bag in between the Sexton and like my overstable 7-speed. So yeah, for that reason I'm out. Yeah, the FX3 is a straight flying fairway that I can't remember the numbers on, but to be fair, Prodigy just started doing numbers, so like who could blame us? But the FX2 was one of my least favorite releases of all time. It feels like, I don't know, I would be really harsh if I started talking about the FX2. I'm going to talk about the FX3 because it's a huge improvement for me upon the FX series as a whole. And the FX4 as well, which I think even like a lot of pros bag the FX4 and the FX3, these like straighter fairways. Like again, this is not my list. Totally, part of it is my list, and I'm gonna
right now. What you're doing is you.
I'm gonna put this right here. I think it's a decent disc, and I think it's better than the Feedback. I think for me it flies really straight, and I don't mind the like the Yakun plastics quite as much as Luke does. I kind of like the hand feel, especially on the FX3. Now the FX series is faster than the F series, and so this will probably crush for a lot of beginners. So that's why I like it up there. I wouldn't put it quite above the Athena normally, but it has to go above the Feedback, so that's where it goes.
That makes sense. Okay. Next is the Latitude 64 Royal Honor. This disc is sick. For me, I think I would just say that the flight that you get out of it is kind of stock. Thunderbird 9502. The flight is nothing crazy. There's the Vanguard now from Discmania, feels almost identical, flies almost identical. But it's Royal Grand plastic. And we say that all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, you take any mold and you put it in Royal Grand plastic, it's kind of better. So I'm going to put it in A tier because I'm going to continue to harp on Royal Grand plastic as long as it stays as good as it is. And that I do like the flight you get out of it. If you're maybe not a beginner, an intermediate player who you think Firebirds are a little bit too overstable for you, you reach for a Thunderbird. This is that. This is the Honor. It's awesome. I like it a lot. All right, I'm going to switch it up a little bit and let Will talk about the Cookie, because Will has thrown the Cookie.
Yes. So Cookie, like I was saying earlier, similar flight to the Athena. You're slightly more overstable disc, except way better hand feel. I love
those smooth rims.
Yeah, the smooth rim of Clash.
It's the same rim as the Soda too, not like dimensions, but the rounded smooth rim. So if you bag both of those, your hands are just buttery.
Yes.
They're feeling good.
Yeah, you are not getting any calluses today.
Yes, it's the anti-Prodigy. It feels amazing. Yeah, it feels great. It's one of those discs that I really, really, really wanted to bag. But again, like I said with the Athena, kind of in between stabilities of, like, I feel like it's not somewhere that you normally need. Maybe if I was a beginner instead of a Firebird, I was trying to come down a couple speeds to like that 7 speed, it would be a really good disc. And so I am going to, I'm going to put it A tier, because at the back of A tier, because it is, oh my gosh, I keep missing these, boys.
The Lord.
It is.
I would have put it in this tier, so that's okay.
Yeah, if I was bagging a 7502 disc, it would be the Cookie. So that's why I'm putting it that high.
Big shout out to Overthrow Disc Golf for having, I think, the coolest stamp on a Cookie ever.
Probably the coolest stamps on any disc
Probably
ever.
the coolest stamp on it. If you go to Overthrow Disc Golf's website, they have steady cookies that look incredible. Throwing that
Their
out there.
peppermint cookie, or their peppermint
peppermints
stamp
are also
is
awesome.
sick. Anyway.
Cookie, great. I 100% agree. I love the Vapor Instinct a little bit more, but the Cookie is like right there. Incredible. Reed has the Latitude 60 or Westside disc, Bear.
The Latitude Westside Bear.
The House of Discs Bear.
Yeah, right. The Bear is awesome. If you guys haven't thrown a Bear, get with the program. 8, I want to say it's literally 1 tick more overstable than a Jackalope. I think it's 8.6 -1.3. Or I'm sorry, a tick more overstable than the Grackle, not the Jackalope. It's much more overstable than a Jackalope.
Yeah.
-1.3, which is a super underrated. I mean, I think it's maybe not underrated. That's the same stability numbers as an Eagle. And so maybe it's just rated, but you should, it's underutilized. I'll say that, because a lot of people stick with their 0.2s and they don't look at the -1.3s.
Wow.
The Bear is so nice. And if I didn't have the F2 in my bag, the Bear would be in my bag, and it is on my shelf waiting for me to lose my F2. Because as soon as I lose my F2, I can't just go buy a new one off the shelf. It won't be the same. So I'm going to bag the Bear when that happens.
And that Ice Orbit plastic specifically for the Bear is so cool. It's got just a more solid rim.
I do really love Westside in general. Their theming is awesome. Their stamps are really cool. But the Bear, the flight numbers are awesome, and it pairs with the Westside Stag so well. If you want like a Grackle Jackalope combo, you could also go Bear Stag. Like that combo is sick. But anyway,
amazing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
Up next, we have the Infinite Discs Dynasty. I want to note, because it just came to my mind when we were talking about smooth rims, the Innova It is not on this list. And I think I just didn't see it when I was scrolling through the PDGA website, maybe because it's such a small word. Did it come out
It came out very recently.
It came out very recently. And the It would be, I think, an A tier for all of us, maybe Swanky tier. It's got the rounded rim thing that Clash Discs does with the Soda and the Cookie. 7.6 -1.2 or something, somewhere along those lines. Really, really cool disc.
It's flippier than that for sure.
I think the numbers are negative.
Or it flies
1.2,
flippier
or
than that.
maybe it's -2.1. I could be wrong. We just threw it in a challenge. Super fun. We're on the Dynasty, which I believe is 9.5 -1.2. Classic. Love it.
Classic.
Swirly S-Blend plastic from also known as S-Line, also known as ESP, also known as Star.
There it is.
It's literally Star. And it's incredible, and it's great, and it crushes. This is one of those ones where I look for the S-Line plastic, specifically, any type of S-Line plastic. The numbers are 9.5 -1.2, and they're a little bit more understable than those numbers suggest, are some of the best discs in the world. I'm convinced. The Supreme Escape, the S-Line CD1 from Discmania, I don't know if they make an ESP Undertaker. I'm sure they do, right? Probably the similar.
They do.
I've never thrown one, but that kind of plastic, 9.5 -1.2, a little bit more understable than it's supposed to be. I think are some of the coolest, most usable discs for distance drivers, fairway, like higher speed fairway drivers ever. And they do a really good job with the Dynasty. We reviewed it. They have some really cool stamps out there. I'm going to put it in A tier, and I think it's going to the top of A tier because it's just an absolute crusher for a 9-speed. Very controllable if you're in the woods and need more distance. And also, if you're like an intermediate player, this is probably your furthest flying disc and you don't want to admit it, that's okay. I'll admit it for you.
And fun fact about the Dynasty, if you're an old school Discmania thrower, it is the same mold as the CD2, just rebranded as the Dynasty for Infinite after Discmania left. And people loved the CD2.
And the CD2 for Discmania is now the CD1.
Yes.
Yeah. Nobody uses CDs anymore, but we love the CD1. Will, have you thrown the Captain's Raptor?
I have.
All right.
Talk about it.
Talk about it.
So
we got one of these very early on to review. I don't know if you were there for that.
Yeah. So people will tell you that this is like a Firebird. I'm here to tell you it's not. It is very, very beefy and, slightly different hand feel. I personally, if this is the most overstable driver in your bag, fine. It's just, to me, such a replaceable disc. I would go Halo Firebird 100 times before this one. I know it comes in great plastics, especially that new Tour Series one that people love.
Yeah, that is
Z-Flex.
Yeah, the Z-Flex
kind of stuff, super good.
Which I haven't thrown that one yet.
Dog toy it.
Yeah. No, it is.
Dog toy it for the gram.
If I was Discraft sponsored, it'd be right in my bag in that Firebird slot. But it's just a different disc. I don't know many people. I know people who want to throw it and don't, and so I don't know.
We keep Will around to make Innova fans happy. It's because we don't throw hardly any Innova.
Yeah, just put it at the back of. And again, I can't put it any lower than B tier because it is a useful. I could put it in my bag and make use of it. I could flex line it. I could throw it super heavy headwind.
Yeah. What I like about the Captain's Raptor is I think they pulled off what they were trying to do more than it's a Raptor but more overstable. Whereas the Zone OS came out and it's really not a Zone that's slightly more overstable. Right. It's a tilt that's in putter form pretty much. So I like that they pulled off. We want to make a Raptor that's a little bit more overstable. Bang. It feels like a Raptor, flies a little bit more overstable. Like it.
And Discraft, over the last few years, I've talked about their most recent releases, but they love their pros. And they take care of their pros.
They do.
And the Captain's Raptor was an overstable Raptor, which everybody thought their Raptors weren't overstable enough, so they came out with the Captain's Raptor. Everyone needed a more overstable Zone, so they came out with the Zone OS. Maybe it didn't do quite what everyone was hoping it would, but they're also coming out.
Pros are using it.
They're coming out with the Swarm now, which is a really potentially the most overstable disc in all of Discraft's lineup. So they're releasing these molds for their pros, and for professional players that can throw really far and really hard. And this also came out in response to the tilt, didn't it? Kind of around that same area. I can't remember. Maybe it was a little bit later.
Because this is pretty rare. This is when 2021, obviously.
But everyone was really into overstable stuff at the time, so the Raptor made sense in its context.
All right, we're into our top 3. Reed has the FD1.
Our top 3. This is not touching
Not top 3, but they're just our last 3, I should say.
I do actually really like the FD1. The only one I've thrown is the Skywalker, which is
Horizon.
Which is
a Star Wars character.
Which is
Casey
White's signature disc.
Horizon FD1.
And they were beautiful. And
they were sick.
Super nice. I was really pleased with them.
They are 7402, and
so
I don't know if it's specifically the less glide. I guess you could say it is, but it's more overstable than pretty much every other. It's more on par with what the Athena is, I guess. Maybe the Athena is 7402.
I think it is way less overstable than the Athenas that I've thrown.
Yeah, I feel like the Skywalker specifically was very overstable. if I remember correctly.
I don't remember that, but I don't remember super.
It's been a while.
It has been a while. It feels like it can't
2 years ago, last year.
possibly be below the honor and can't possibly be above
The cookie should have been higher. Yeah.
So we're gonna put it below the
That's
cookie.
Will's fault.
Out of respect.
Yeah.
But the FD1 is a great disc.
It really
Definitely
is.
in A tier.
I have the Brave. We're into our final two. I want to remind you guys to subscribe to the channel. Again, let us know if you want to see distance driver tier list, because there's a lot of new distance drivers out there as well that we've never talked about before. And comment down below what we missed and what is your favorite fairway driver that we didn't talk about because we haven't thrown it. I'm sorry. But right now we have the Brave, which is a lovely disc. Is the only way I could describe it. Understable. Also probably that 7.6 -2.1. It's probably the same. I can't remember the numbers. I feel like it's the same as the It. Very similar flight. Maybe more understable in Royal Grand Plastic. This is a beautiful disc. It's so good.
Nice.
It's going to go in A tier. I don't think it can touch Swanky, but I'm going to put it right below the Dynasty because I really like the Dynasty. But the Brave is just wonderful. There's nothing wrong with it at all. Super straight flying, super friendly to all skill levels. Yeah, and then we have the Cinnamon last. I don't know if you've ever thrown the Cinnamon
as well. Super nice.
So I love Clash, but sadly haven't thrown the Cinnamon, so I'll pass it off.
The Cinnamon is 9.5 -1.2 also. I think this is their offering for a 9.5 -1.2 disc. Their plastic's incredible. That being said, I remember throwing it. The rim felt really, really... this is going to be so subjective because I don't have the actual measurements and I could be totally wrong. But I remember the rim feeling really shallow and thin to me. And I don't have very big hands. So I was like, this is a little weird feeling. I don't know what it is because, like I said, I'm always looking for that slot. And maybe it's just because it's champion style plastic. And I mentioned usually the S-Line plastic I like more. Supreme Plastic Escape is my favorite. S-Line CD1, probably my second favorite. S-Line Dynasty, so good. This one was not doing it for me. I don't know why. What do you think, Rudy?
Well, for one, I think the Soda has the thin rim in this lineup, right? I can't remember, but like the shallow rim.
It probably does, but it's a
Soda
7-speed, so I'm not trying to like really grip it and rip it, you know?
If it were me, I'd put the Cinnamon in A tier, but
We can put it in A tier. I mean, it's Clash Plastic, and it's going to be great.
It's
I would just
steady,
put it below
it's-
everything.
Just everything. I think this is an accurate representation of the disc golf market. There's a few bummers, but mostly they're great.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you in the next one. Stay swanky.